The moment I stepped inside, the air was thick, heavy with the dust of forgotten years. My flashlight beam cut through the gloom, illuminating motes that swirled like lazy snowflakes in the dead air. Faded portraits lined the walls, their subjects long gone, their painted eyes worn white and hollow by the passage of time. The silence was a physical thing, a weight pressing in on my eardrums, so profound it almost hummed. I chose the main hall to set up my small camp. Just a sleeping bag, a battery-powered lantern, and a trusty thermos of hot tea. Every step I took sent a chorus of creaks through the ancient floorboards, and I kept telling myself it was just the house settling, just age, not footsteps. Around midnight, the sky opened up. Rain began to lash against the old mansion, and the wind clawed at the shutters like a desperate animal trying to get in. That's when I heard it. A soft, irregular tapping sound from the far end of the long corridor. It sounded exactly like knuckles rapping gently on wood. Just a loose shutter, I whispered to myself, the words feeling small and fragile in the vast, echoing space. My heart was thumping a nervous rhythm against my ribs, but I tried to rationalize it. An old house in a storm? What else could it be? I grabbed my flashlight and decided to investigate, needing to put my mind at ease. The beam sliced through the darkness ahead of me as I walked, but the moment my light touched the distant doorway at the end of the hall, the tapping stopped. Just like that. Silence. I stood there, holding my breath, straining to hear anything over the storm and the groaning of the house. Nothing. Not a single tap. Just the old timbers shifting and moaning as they fought against the wind. I waited for what felt like an eternity, but the sound didn't return. Eventually, I convinced myself it really was just the wind, a freak gust that had stopped as suddenly as it started. Shaken, but trying to stay calm, I made my way back to my sleeping bag. As I settled down, my light swept across the wall of portraits again, and then I froze. My blood ran cold. One of the paintings, one I had passed earlier, was different. It depicted a young woman in a flowing white gown. Her face was pale, almost luminous in the lantern light, and her eyes were dark, deep, and looked almost wet, as if freshly painted. A small, tarnished placard at the bottom of the frame read, "Eliza Blackwell, 1871." I stared at it, a knot of pure dread tightening in my stomach. I remembered this painting distinctly from when I arrived in the daylight. I was certain, absolutely 100% certain, that when I saw it before, the woman's head had been turned slightly to the left, her gaze directed away. Now she was looking straight out of the canvas, straight at me. My mind raced, trying to find a logical explanation. A trick of the light? A fault in my memory? But the certainty was overwhelming. It was a visceral feeling, a deep-seated knowledge that something was fundamentally wrong. I couldn't tear my eyes away from the portrait. The woman, Eliza, seemed to watch me with an unnerving stillness, her painted expression holding a hint of sorrow or perhaps something else entirely, something colder. The storm raged on outside, but the only sound I could hear now was the frantic pounding of my own heart. I felt a chilling realization creep over me. I was not alone in this house. The silence I had cherished earlier now felt menacing, filled with an unseen presence. I spent the rest of the night huddled in my sleeping bag, my flashlight clutched in my hand like a talisman, its beam fixed on the portrait of Eliza Blackwell. I didn't dare sleep. Every creak of the floorboards, every gust of wind sent a fresh jolt of terror through me. I kept expecting the tapping to start again, closer this time. I kept expecting to see the figure in the painting move again. Nothing happened. The night dragged on, each minute stretching into an hour, until the first, faint gray light of dawn began to seep through the grimy windows. The storm had passed, and a fragile calm settled over the mansion. With the arrival of daylight, a sliver of courage returned. I packed my things with trembling hands, my eyes constantly darting back to the portrait. In the morning light, Eliza Blackwell's gaze seemed less direct, her expression more ambiguous. Had I imagined it all? Was it just fear and exhaustion playing tricks on my mind? I had to know. Before leaving, I took out my phone and snapped a quick picture of the painting, a piece of evidence, a way to prove to myself later that I wasn't going crazy. As I backed out of the main hall, my footsteps echoing in the now empty space, I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. The eyes of all the portraits seemed to follow me to the door. Back in my car, miles away from the Blackwell mansion, I finally felt safe enough to look at the picture on my phone. My hands were still shaking as I zoomed in on the image of the painting. The quality was clear. Eliza Blackwell stared out from the screen, her head turned slightly to the left, her gaze directed away, just as I had first seen her. My breath hitched in my throat. I frantically scrolled to the next picture in my gallery, one I had taken of the main hall right when I first arrived. I zoomed in on the wall of portraits, and there it was. In that first photo, Eliza Blackwell was looking directly at the camera, directly at me. The sequence was wrong. The painting hadn't just changed during the night. It had changed back. It knew I was watching. It knew I had taken proof. And that, I realized with a fresh wave of horror, meant that whatever was in that house didn't want me to just leave. It wanted me to know it was real. And it was waiting. Thanks for tuning in. I hope this story sent a few shivers down your spine. If you enjoyed it, please hit that like button and consider subscribing for more tales from the shadows. Stay safe out there, and always check the paintings on the wall. You never know who might be watching.